Imagine you are an innocent person, but you find yourself accused of a murder, a crime you did not commit. And worse, the victim is someone who was supposed to protect you, but was actually a monster in disguise. This is not just an ordinary story. This is the story of Joan Little, the girl who became the talk of America and who turned the justice system upside down. Could Joan be a murderer? A story of escape or self-defense? A crime inside a prison reveals dark secrets. What really happened that night inside the cell? Is Joan guilty, or is there a bigger secret than we imagine? Joan Little's life journey from misery to crime. Born on October 29th, 1948, in Cleveland, Ohio, Joan Little was a girl with very ordinary features. She grew up in a poor neighborhood amidst the suffering and hardships of daily life imposed by difficult economic and social conditions. Joan had a childhood full of injustice and harassment as she was exposed from an early age to physical and verbal violence, and she grew up in a home suffering from family disintegration, which instilled in her a deep sense of loneliness and alienation from the world. But this was only the beginning. There was a dark world waiting for Joan, a world of crime and violence. In her youth, Joan found herself entering into unhealthy relationships, some of which were filled with violence and exploitation. Over time, these relationships became part of her daily life. Sometimes she was the wronged woman, while at other times she was seeking to survive by any means. In her teenage years, Joan was involved in cases of theft and small quarrels, but no one expected that her life would turn into a merciless crime scene in which the judicial system played a major role in determining her fate. Entering prison and the events of that horrific evening. In 1974, Joan Little was arrested on charges of theft at the age of 20. This charge was the starting point for her dark path as she was imprisoned in the Poma County Jail in North Carolina. Little did she know then that this cell would be the place that would change the course of her life forever. On August 27th of that same year, Joan was in her cell when guard Clarence Alois burst in. Contrary to what was expected, this guard was not there to maintain order, but rather to brutally assault Joan. Joan says that she woke up that night to the sound of the door opening, and the guard came towards her with a knife in his hand. The confrontation was unexpected, and Joan had no choice but to defend herself with all her might. In a moment of panic and fear, Joan used the knife to defend her life, and eventually managed to escape from the prison in an attempt to survive. This particular moment was the turning point in her life, as everyone began to wonder, was she really a victim, or did she commit murder? And was the trick part of a larger plan? From escape to trial and social pressure. After escaping from prison, the authorities began tracking Joan Little, and due to concerns that she might have committed murder, the media began to follow the case with passion. On the other hand, Joan decided not to return to her old life, but decided to build a new life. However, escape was not the only solution, as Joan was under tremendous pressure from the system and society that held many prejudices. In court, Joan was treated harshly, as she was portrayed as the alleged murderer. All eyes were on her character and her previous life full of petty crimes. But the question on everyone's mind was, were these events just self-defense, or was Joan really the deliberate murderer? Trial and conviction. The story that shook America. The trial was the grand spectacle of her life, as Joan was portrayed as a cold-blooded murderer who deserved to be punished. However, Many still wondered if she was really guilty. As the trial continued, Joan began to reveal horrifying details about the guard who assaulted her, and many secrets that were previously unknown. Eventually, Joan Little was convicted, and her life in prison began. But the story did not end there, as Joan Little was more than just a guilty girl. She was a symbol of the struggle between truth and injustice, and a secret that remained hidden for many years. Life after prison, the truths that were revealed. As the years passed, Joan began to reveal new details about her life, revealing dark secrets that the court did not know at the time. In 2018, after decades of investigation, it was confirmed that Joan Little was not the only one who was a victim of unjustified violence. The investigation revealed many stories that were controversial in American society. Joan Little lived her life between truth and lies, between injustice and justice. As time passes, the question remains, was Joan Little really a victim of the events that led to a murder? Or was there a dark chapter in her life that no one was prepared to understand? The endless question.